Hello, my name is Erik. Welcome to Fine Mathematics. This is our continued conversation on executive functions, and this will be the last, more or less, section of our executive functions. And this is really just on maintenance. And I'm going to be going into this more in later videos to come, in later sections, and I've already mentioned this in other videos, but this is something that is very important to help keep the room, the environment, if you will, at a high working level. So the first thing is daily maintenance. At the end of every session that you work, get in the habit of a wrap-up. Put everything away. This could be computers go away, get them charged. Put everything away in the desk, your supplies away. And you may not be used to doing that and just leaving everything scattered, but then when you come back to it the next day, you got to deal with all this stuff, as opposed to prepping the area for the next day. Just like a restaurant would for the next day at a restaurant or any other type company that's having multiple shifts coming back and forth. The shift, even if it happens to be you again, you want that space to be ready to go. You don't want to have to waste time figuring out where everything is because everything was scattered. If you happen to be a parent, this is a great way to start instilling these basic habits to your children, so when they get older, they become second nature. So have a daily wrap-up. Put everything away, charge your computers, things like that. Some of the basic supplies that I use and techniques that I've done with students, particularly also our time in history, I use scratch paper a lot for math and things like that, but I'll have a lot of paper that maybe I've printed on that I didn't use, or there's just scratch paper. If there's still a clean side, I'll put an X on it and I'll have a little basket in my closet and I'll put it in there and I'll use that as scratch paper. We want to try and build in environmental consciousness into our daily lives. We're at a point in history now, my personal opinion, that these are going to be factors that are going to come more and more as we move forward in time, particularly due to where we're at in terms of our climate, in terms of our waste. And I think as we get older and we move forward, companies are going to start becoming more aware of the end use or the last stages of the product's life and what they're going to possibly do to the environment. So these are kind of behaviors we can start to build into our own environment ourselves. So try and buy things that are recyclable, things that are biodegradable. So I did this at the school all the time, and I actually started this in college. I picked it up from a student where I never bought any paper at all. And this was the pre-internet era, or just at the beginning of it. I would have all my homework done on recycled paper. One side was completely used something else, and I put an X on it to signify it, don't look at this, but the other side was still good. I mean, if you really think about it, we're going to use the paper to do our work, show it to a teacher, they look at it, give us a grade, take it back. At the end of the semester, end of the year, where does it end up? In the trash. So we don't want to waste things. Now, this doesn't mean I would use this for essays. Some things you want to make sure are looking brand new, maybe an essay, things like that. So just kind of keep this stuff in mind. Another thing I want to put in your head is make sure in your room you have a waste area, waste paper basket. And what I'd recommend you do is, instead of just buying plastics, because plastics are toxic. Basically, plastic is the cancer of the environment, the way I see it. But what you can do is you can buy plastic bags that are biodegradable. And I use these all the time. The only downside is, and this would be more for like in a kitchen area, when they get wet, they immediately start breaking down. So they start to break down quickly. However, if it's in an office area where it's mostly dry things, shouldn't be a problem at all. I would also recommend cleaning products that are non-toxic, biodegradable, things that aren't going to hurt things. These are just personally good practices for where we are in history. And lastly, you make sure you have your cleaning products like a vacuum cleaner, make sure you have your floor cleaner and things like that. These are equally as important as the tools of the trade you need to get well in school, because we want to maintain our environment to a very high level. That way we will perform at a very high level because we're going to feel good about coming to our environment. You can kind of think of like some executives or some people's offices who have really nice offices and buildings, and the kind of effect they have when they bring clients there. Okay? You're the client to yourself, but at the same token, you don't want to go to an area that you don't feel comfortable in. You won't want to do work there. Think of the area that you want to do work in, because that's where you're going to do your best work. It's where you're going to come up with ideas, where you're going to get everything done. You're going to sleep if it happens to be a dual intent. I think you get the picture. Anyways, thank you very much for watching Executive Functions on our environment. And this is pretty much the last section of it, but it's also a very important section of maintenance and how we're going to maintain our environment in the future, as well as being conscious of where we are in this historical moment in time. Thank you very much for watching Executive Functions and Fine Mathematics. My name is Eric, and remember, always enjoy the process.